Hi, my name is Sitar Buddy Gunaratna. I'm a musician, guitarist, singer-songwriter, rapper. You know, when I was born in 1995, I was into a stable family and we lived a luxurious lifestyle, because my father was a career diplomat who became an ambassador later on in his life. A lot of kids growing up, they pick one thing, like they want to be a pilot, they want to be a engineer or architect, but I always never had that one thing in my mind. I had a lot of struggle trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And my father taught me how to do karate at the age of 3, and that stuck with me till I was about 7, 8. And then music popped into my mind when I was really, achieving great things through music. A lot of kids growing up, they're into gaming, they're into mobile phones, MP3 players, iPods. And I never got a phone till I was about 16, I always wanted to perfect my craft. And that's the motivation that I had, as a kid, and growing up having that kind of motivation. It was really inspiring to a lot of adults and a lot of other kids as well. I achieved my first black belt when I was about 9 years old, and Kyokushin karate, and that was a big achievement. When a lot of kids, they're striving to do sports, but they're more like into the mobile phones, and gaming, and all that kind of stuff. I took over karate and then sacrificed all my childhood just to achieve that goal of getting a black belt, and that was phenomenal once you do it. To me, a normal lifestyle would be going to school, coming home, but my dad, when we get home, when he gets home, he would get on his tracksuit and, just take us out for a 5-kilometer run every single day. And that healthy lifestyle motivated us to stay fresh, stay humble to our grounds. And my sister and I, we always loved it, just to exercise and be motivated in sports. Music, when I first started it, it was so great that I thought, I can make a career out of this. And I did. I performed a tour to many countries. Made a huge impact to myself in a very young age. But a lot of political situations in Sri Lanka brought my dad back into our home country, Sri Lanka. And that really spiraled everything down towards me mentally. And I got bullied in school at an early age, at my teenage age in Sri Lanka, in these schools with kids and teachers. They didn't like me because I was a bit different. I was a bit talented. I had a lot of, guts. I never feared anyone. And that really did bring me an outcast to society. Our first album was Waiting for a Call. That was when I was 10, and my sister was about 13. And that album was really special to me. My sister always says we did it for fun, but for me, that was a highlight of my musical career. And I still look up to that album as something great that we did. Then I released my solo album in 2017 after working with a lot of producers such as Nasser Shibani, who's like a god to me, in Beirut, Lebanon, thanks to Mr. Nabil Isa. And then I moved to Sri Lanka and I progressed those songs and I produced them by myself, and I released my first hip-hop album, and that was the album that redefined my life and my career, because I did a hip-hop song called Mr. Loving, which really took off, and that song changed my entire life. Once I started doing that song, I moved on to Moto Cars, where I did a huge music video with one of the greatest racing car drivers from Sri Lanka, Mr. Dilan Tamalugamua. And that really propelled my music career as well. When I was 16, I was diagnosed with depression, after excessive bullying from school. I told my parents I want to stop going to school, pursue my music career. That really, just didn't work out as well. And I stopped school, and things got worse. First thing you know, I stopped school. I wanted to pursue my music career. Next thing you know, I'm in bed, I'm trying not to wake up every morning to go to school. Dad dragging me off my bed. It was really tough to have that kind of relationship. I think we knew each other better after a while, and we figured out that, he figured out what my life was meant to be, and I appreciate that for him. I don't clock out at waking up at 5 or getting off at 5 in the evening. I start my day late or fresh, but whatever I do, I always try to make it happen. And I have a dream, like Kyokushin karate. For me, it's something that's meant to be, as well as music has always been. For me, this whole journey of karate always began at a young age, and I was always stuck in doing boxing or mixed martial arts, but it's gravitating back towards karate, Earning a black belt is something special at a young age, A lot of kids sacrifice for something else. They don't really sacrifice for anything. I sacrificed my childhood for fitness, and that feels special. And for me, doing this in such an aspect, it just brings a sense of motivation that I want to achieve something through my craft. It's so Japanese, like I was born in Japan and I'm looking at the roots of Japan, and like having that motivation of doing something and perfecting your craft. And I have two crafts, like music and then karate, like Kyokushin karate. I don't care if the money is not there in terms of huge payouts, but I want to be successful at the craft I do. I think inevitably if I do become a kickboxer or mixed martial artist, I have that edge, but I let evolution and as evolving as a fighter, I let the journey take me there, not like wait for it, And that's something special that I see. Blue belt was something exciting. Yellow belt was something even more exciting. Green belt, and then you get bigger, you get tougher, and then you get brown belt, you get black belt. I was like the smallest kid, but I was a successful kid. I fucking love it, man. It's something awesome. I wanna change the world. I don't fantasize about cars. I don't fantasize about bodyguards. I don't fantasize about paparazzi. This is all just living with the journey. Just letting it go by, and that simplicity and understanding. It's like Buddhism, and it just helps me progress. And I think people can understand where I'm coming from. Enjoying what you do is what brings you up to places you can never expect,